Hello, so I'm gonna apologize in advance if my eye looks kind of fucked up today. Apparently it's getting close to fall, but not really, but kinda, but not really, but kinda. And whenever that happens, my allergies start acting up, which I don't quite understand. Like, somebody's gonna have to explain to me the evolutionary advantage of having an immune system that freaks the fuck out every time trees decide it's a good time to breed. So yeah, there's that. But I wanted to show you some of the pieces that I've been working on before I get into what I wanted to talk about today. First up is the Vader Junji Ito bucket that I've been working on for this Death Star art show. And there's a Tumblr blog that I can link to now, so I'll post that in the show notes so you can get more information about where the show is taking place and who's participating and some of the preview art that some of us are posting. So this is the Uzumaki busting out of the back of Vader's helmet, and I gotta sand some of the stuff to make it a little bit more clean, and then maybe do some finishing, like some Bondo or some putty work, and then I'm gonna prime this all white, and then the interior here is gonna be all flesh colored with blood on the edges and all that kind of creepy stuff. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the face mask, but the face that's coming out with the hand. That's all going to be very pale and white, and then I'm going to have really dark black highlights, kind of like Ju-on, The Grudge, the poster, the movie, that kind of thing, where the kids are all fucked up around the eyes with the black stuff. So got that going. I hope I have enough time to finish. And I did finish the watercolor piece, or one of the watercolor pieces for Puppy Cow. This is Puppy Cow Thulu. And it takes me a little bit longer than I thought it would to do these pieces because watercolor is a new medium for me and I'm not all that confident. I do ink wash all the time for the comic to shade it and stuff, but there's something about that added color that kind of throws me. Like on the computer I'm fine, I can digital color till my arm falls off and shit. And I guess it's because I have ultimate control over every single setting. And I guess I'm more of a control freak than I thought I was, because watercolor is kind of a weird beast. You kind of just gotta let it go and see what happens. So, I don't know, I like doing it. It just takes me a lot longer than I thought it would. So, but yeah, you'll see more of these watercolor pieces from me as the weeks go on, because I got more gift art to finish for the Kickstarter. So, but today I wanted to talk about mini comics, because mini comics are awesome. And this weekend is Small Press Expo, and so when I think Small Press Expo, I think mini comics. So last year was my first Small Press as an exhibitor, and it was also the first year of my comics, so I didn't really have enough comics to put together into a collection and sell at the show. Also, I probably wouldn't have had enough time even if I did have enough comics, because it took me a month to kind of, when I actually had the book ready to print, it kind of took a month for the entire process to work out, like getting the quotes and then sending the files and then correcting files and things like that. So it would have taken a while. So I decided to put together a mini comic, and this was my mini comic, Pan Doom. This debuted last year. I only have a handful of these left, so actually I might bring the rest that I have with me this year, just in case. And it's a little 18-page book about a cute little panda, and then of course everything goes wrong because I'm a fucked up person. The interior pages are done in copy paper that I got at Kinko's, and then the exterior has a little heavier stock. And so I like this size. I've also seen mini comics that are twice as big, so it's a half sheet of paper that are, so they're like this. But these tend to be the standard sizes for mini comics, either this size or this size. And the way I had them printed up, it took 2 pieces of paper front and back to create one 16-page comic. So I will demonstrate with this piece of paper here. So if you fold it in half and fold it yet again in half, and if you separate if you separate along the folds here, this is all very scientific. This is exactly how you should produce your mini comic. Alright, what you have here is an 8-page pamphlet, and I will demonstrate by putting numbers on this shit. So, handy dandy marker. Let's go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there we go. We got our first page, second page, third page, fourth page, and so on. And then when you unfold, you can see how the numbers lay out. So like down here, this is 1 and 8. Up here, this is 4 and 5. So that's the middle spine one. Here we've got 2 and 7 and 3 and 6. And I actually did a layout just like this before I actually started on the comic because I wanted to see how it would work in the printer and where I would need the cut lines and all that kind of stuff. So if it's kind of difficult for you to figure out how to do the page layout, I highly suggest putting together a scrap piece of shit like this just to give yourself a visual reference for when you're laying out the pages. And then I did each comic page on a small piece of Bristol board that was about this size. Scanned them all in, arranged them in PageMaker, in InDesign, and figured out the layout like this, so it would print out properly. And then I went to Kinko's and I got 100 prints, so that's 2 pages for each comic. So I actually had enough prints for 50 comics. Put them together, cut them out, had staple party with me and Audrey, and here's the finished product. So mini comics are pretty awesome because it gives you an opportunity to learn what it takes to actually publish a comic, like figuring out the layout, paper choice, how to staple things, covers, some of the ancillary things that you don't necessarily think about when you're doing webcomics. Like, you never have to think about spines or layout or print numbers and that kind of thing. So if you want to get your toes in the water, doing little mini runs like this is a perfect way to get familiar with the printing process and that kind of thing. Mini comics are also awesome because when you go to a show like Small Press Expo and there are other artists there who do their own mini comics, a lot of them are willing to trade. So you can trade with another artist and see what they're doing. And this acts like a mini portfolio, kind of. And if you're smart, very clever, you'll have your web address on the back. And if you're even smarter, you'll have a QR code that links to your online portfolio that is smartphone ready. So think about those things. But it acts like a mini portfolio, which is great because you can show other artists what you're doing and what your storytelling abilities are, and they can check out your stuff and they might link to you. If they have a webcomic, they might link to you there. Some artists are involved in bigger groups, especially indie artists. They're other collectives, and if they really like your stuff, they might keep you in mind for, sometimes indie creators get together to put compilation books out there and stuff. So your mini comic can become your calling card. Also, sometimes publishers will be at some of these smaller shows, and you might be able to impress them with the quality of your mini. So it behooves you to get in the habit of creating a mini. If you're going to do, if you're interested in publishing at all, or if you're interested in handing out something that's a quick rundown of your abilities as a cartoonist. So if you're starting out and if you're going to a convention and you don't know what to bring and you don't have enough comics for a book and you don't have the funds for a book, mini comics are a affordable, well, relatively affordable way to get your stuff out there. Now I printed mine at Kinko's because I do not have access to printing. I have a printer myself, but running off 100 copies or 50 copies of this book would have killed my ink, and then it would have been really expensive on my end. So it made more economic sense to buy the shit at Kinko's and then staple it myself, cut it and staple it myself. If you happen to work in an office, that doesn't really keep an eye on how many people or how many copies that you make, it is conceivable for you to stay late after work and get yourself some free copies, which would be awesome. Sometimes if you work on campus, like if you go to college and you work on campus, you might have free access to the paper there. So if you're on a college or know somebody who has access to a printer, I mean there are ways to get free prints done. Like and all you need is just cheap copy paper. You know, you don't need like heavy fancy stock and that kind of bullshit, because really you can only sell a mini for like $2. Like, and even that's kind of pricey, but this size is usually, I've seen anywhere from $2 to $3 at the show. The ones that are this size I've seen go for like $3 to $5. So, but I mean, it's not really a money-making prospect here. The mini comic, like I haven't heard of many people making decent livings off of mini comics. It's a lot of resources that go into this, and you make it back if you sell it for $2. And you're not going to sell out of all of them at the show. So if you're looking to make money, these are not the way to go. But if you're looking to learn more about comics and being awesome with your comics and sharing comics with other people and getting them into the hands of fans and stuff, make a fucking mini, man. I mean, it's easy to do. I mean, it just takes work and time and effort, and if you're really scrounging for money, there are ways you can get free copies. But make a mini, get your shit out there, show people how you can tell a story, what kind of stories you're looking into. And who knows? I mean, anything's possible. Unfortunately, I did not have time to continue this story for this year, so I have kind of like a 3 mini arc in mind for the Pandoom. So hopefully next year I'll have enough time, because I won't be necessarily putting together another book next year. Well, depends on how things go. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on mini comics. Fucking do them because they're awesome. And Small Press Expo is this Saturday and Sunday. I will be there in the back right corner. So if you're having a hard time finding me, go to where you never go. And then I'll talk about more SPX stuff later. Anyway, thanks for checking me out. I'd love to hear about your adventures in mini comics or your own comics, or maybe you do like the 24-hour comics or things like that. But you can hit me up with questions or comments, email me, hit me up on Tumblr, YouTube, Twitter, or the comic webpage, all that good stuff. Links everywhere, blah blah blah. And I'll check you next time. Bye.